Storytime about the girl who tried to talk me into doing the nasty with her dad. Literally. So a little background information. 2 months before this whole situation, I had met her through one of my friends at a party. She was really funny, really nice. We're gonna call this girl Jessie. So when my friend and I left the party, I had asked her about Jessie, and she was like, oh, I wouldn't really hang around her. She's just like a really weird person. Now, I didn't really take my friend's word for it, mainly because in the past, my friend has gotten really jealous whenever I've started hanging out with other people. So I decided to find out for myself, which now I realize that was probably not one of my best ideas. So a few weeks later, we hung out with her again, and I got her number that night. Her and I started hanging out a lot, and her and I were both seniors in high school. Well, when I would go over to her house, her dad would be super weird around me. He would just be very overly nice and touchy with me. And her mom and her dad were divorced. Well, the one night I'm sitting in Jessie's room and she comes upstairs and she's like, OMG, I have to tell you what my dad said. Like for part 2. Part 2 about the girl who tried to talk me into doing the nasty with her dad. Literally. Like I said, she comes upstairs to her bedroom and she's like, OMG, I have to tell you what my dad just said about you. And she would literally do this all the time. She would be like, oh, my dad just said that you're so pretty, or my dad just said that if you were his age, he would totally date you. And just like super weird things like that. Well, I was like, oh, like what did he say? And she was like, OMG, I feel so weird telling you, like I really don't want to tell you. She was like, I feel like you'll think he's weird. Low-key, she didn't know that I already thought that he was weird. But I was like, oh, okay. She was like, okay, fine, I'll just tell you. My dad said that he would totally fuck you. And I was like, oh, that's really gross. Like, he's really fucking weird for that. And she was like, no, you should totally do it. And I was like, no, I'm good. Like, that does not make me feel comfortable. And she was like, dude, you don't understand. He'll pay you. And her dad was super rich, like he owned 4 of his own companies and everything. But still, that was not enough to bribe me to do it with this man. So I grabbed my stuff and I am like about to walk out of her room. And she's like, wait, no, don't go. Like I was just joking. And I was like, no, I'm still gonna leave. And she was like, no, please don't. Like, how are you gonna get home? I'm not driving you. So I start walking down the stairs and I stop and look into the living room and I see her dad laying naked on the couch, just watching the stairs. It's like he was literally waiting for me to come down here to do the nasty with him. So I start running out the door and her dad chases me and he's like, hey, like, where are you going? What's wrong? And I'm like covering my eyes. I turn around and I'm like, you're what's fucking wrong. You're so fucking gross. After that, she texted me begging me not to tell anybody, and I don't really see her anymore except for when we go to parties and she just happens to be there. Story time about how my boyfriend found out that I was cheating on him with his best friend. So a little background information. We're gonna call my boyfriend Tyler. Tyler and I had been dating since he was 16 and I was 13. And now it was my freshman year in high school and his senior year. And we're gonna call his best friend Jaden. Now there was one really big problem with Tyler and I's relationship. I was pretty much dating Jaden too. Now if you don't get what I mean by that, Jaden was there for literally every single thing that we did in our relationship. Anytime I would invite Tyler over, guess who was walking in right behind him? Jaden. Anytime that Tyler and I went on dates, guess who was there? Jaden. And there wouldn't even be another girl there. He would literally just third wheel on our dates. And I talked to Tyler about it before and he's like, well, I don't know what you want me to do. He's my best friend. So fast forward, the one day Tyler and Jaden are both over my house, like for part 2. Part 2 about how my boyfriend found out that I was cheating on him with his best friend. So like I said, Jaden and Tyler are both at my house, and Tyler ends up getting a call, and it was his mom telling him that his brother had just passed away. So Tyler told Jaden that he needed to find a ride home, and after that, Tyler left immediately. Now me, I do not know what the hell to do, because Jaden and I had never been left alone before, and it wasn't really because Tyler didn't trust us. It was more of though we didn't really have a reason to be alone together. So that night, he was supposed to wait for my parents to get home so that way they could drive him. But I ended up getting him an Uber because he said that he liked me and I did not know what to do. Fast forward, while my boyfriend is in the grieving stages, I was messing with his best friend behind his back. And the one day he had walked in on us doing spicy things. And after, he had his whole family posting things about me on Facebook saying that I was a whore and everything. Hi everyone, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. So, I lied. I feel like a bad person, okay, but I'm not a bad person because I have a really good story time for you guys today. But I know I said that I was going to post again last month. I did not. I apologize for that, okay? Apologies Please forgive me. But I also know that I was supposed to put up a how-to video on the Storytime link. That is coming soon. I swear. It's coming soon. Just like give me a little bit more time, okay? The weather here has been literally garbage, like garbage. Okay, I haven't been able to go outside for 2 days. My dogs are upset they can't go on the porch. It's just a whole big thing. But I have a very, very, very long story time for you guys today. Okay, so grab the popcorn, grab that laundry basket that's been sitting there for like years that needs to be folded, go clean your room, and listen to this shit, okay? Because this is probably gonna be like, we're gonna be here 20 or 30 minutes, guys. I'm not gonna lie. But without further ado, let me bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so just my quick usual little rundown to these videos in case you're new here. For most of the video, I will be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I am doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view. If you don't like that, then you can leave, and these story times are sent in by anonymous people. I literally just tried to film this, but I messed up my makeup, so we're going again. Okay, so story time about how I found out my best friend's boyfriend was a cheater. We love that, don't we? So little background information. I was 20 years old and a sophomore in college. And the last thing I had to do before I was free from this prison was 1, finish my exams, 2, find a place to live, and 3, get a job. Now, no, I was not homeless, okay? I could have went home for the summer, but that would have been annoying as hell because my parents lived on the other side of the country, and not to mention, while I was at college, they moved away from my original hometown, so I knew absolutely nobody in the town they're in now. And not to mention, they were thinking about giving back to the world. They were both retired, right? They were bored with their lives, so they decided they were going to do a bed and breakfast at their house. If you don't know what that is, that means you let people stay the night, they wake up, they have their breakfast, and then they leave. That wasn't gonna work for me because I was not about to wake up in the middle of the night to some random guy in my house touching my underwear. Hell no. The only downside to this whole thing was the fact that my parents held literally everything and anything over my head. For example, money. Now, I really never had to pay for anything of my own, okay? The only thing that I had to do was make sure that I got good grades in school and that I was focused on getting a successful future career where I could support myself and support my family and support my grandkids, great-grandkids, everything else like that, okay? I was held to a lot of standard. So I got paid whenever I had good grades, whenever I got an A on a test, and that kind of shit. Well, since I decided to stay at college during this summer, I was cut off. Literally. And I had my own apartment near the campus. Just to show me how petty they were and how mad at me they were, they ended my lease early, which to do that, you had to pay 3 months rent. So they were willing to pay $13,000 to end my lease early. Yeah. And it wasn't like I was a bad kid or anything. It's just because I didn't follow their rules. And since all of my other friends went home for the summer, I couldn't ask anybody if they wanted to be roommates or if I could move in with them, you know? But there was this one girl that I had met and she was really nice, but we weren't like best friends. So I felt awkward when I asked her if, you know, I could stay with her. And we had only known each other for like a month or 2. So I had asked her if I could stay with her for the summer, even though I literally had no money to my name because my dad also froze my bank account. The only thing that I really had that was of use to her was a car because she would usually have to either Uber to work or walk because she didn't have a car. So she said that I could live with her and her boyfriend and she would get me a job at where she worked, but I had to pay 1/3 of the rent, 1/3 of the utilities, and I had to drive her to and from work every day that she worked until I could start paying my half. But I kept driving her after that because she didn't have a car, so. But anyways, I thought this was fair enough. I was like, great, at least I have a place to live. At least I'm not on the streets, you know, period. Well, when I went back to my apartment to grab my things, there were already movers there, and one of them just happened to be my brother, who, might I add, is a douchebag. Now, my parents did that on purpose, of course, and I knew because the first thing he said to me was, Dad said you can take everything, meaning necessities like only your bed, your clothes, your makeup, and your shower stuff. Everything else I have to take. So don't grab any food, don't grab any of this, don't grab any of that. And I'm like, okay, great, like, fuck you. I wasn't even that shocked, to be honest, because my brother also told me that the movers weren't gonna help me move my bed or anything else to where I was gonna be staying. Like, my brother literally flew across the country just to tell me what my dad said and just to pretty much rub it in my face, I guess. So anyways, I have to make 4 trips back and forth from my apartment to their apartment, which was 20 minutes away from mine, but my car was small as hell, so I had to strap a mattress onto the top of it, shove everything in my car. All of my windows were open. It was a mess. It was terrible. So anyways, I find a way to move all of my shit into their apartment, and when I get there, she introduces me to her boyfriend. So that night I drove her to work and I filled out a application, you know, big girl things, never had a job in my life, and I was applying to be a bartender. And I'm not gonna lie, they made a decent amount of money considering the fact that the only people who went to this bar were literally frat guys, people with daddy's money, old people who wanted to hit on the college girls, and yeah. So, you know what? It was like a good place to work because they would just go in there and blow all of their money. So period, we love that for us. So the next day I got a call, they hired me, I was super excited, and so was my friend because now we could work together. So period. And I could pay bills, yay. By the way, we are going to call her Kathy and her boyfriend Leo. Just like a little 411 on Leo, I guess. Leo was a lazy piece of shit. He has no job, he's not even in college, and he is so disrespectful to her, speaks to her in literally a way that nobody should ever be spoken to in their life. And if I say anything, he will scream at me. Like the one night we came home from work, and this was like 3 days after working there, and as soon as we walked through the door, he's accusing her of fucking her boss so that way he would hire me. Gotta love men. They're just so comical, so funny. He was like, I know Jerry, aka our boss. He wouldn't just hire her on the spot because you said to. You had to have done something with him. And she was like, well, Leo, if that's really what you think, why don't you go and ask him? And he was like, you really think I can show my face around there after what you've been doing? Knowing one of my good friends is fucking my girlfriend? And then he said, and he's probably screwing her too, and points at me. Nobody. No, 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 no. So that's whenever I decided to give Leo a reality check. And I was like, honestly, maybe if you weren't so insecure, you wouldn't accuse her of fucking cheating on you. All you do is fucking sit around all day, drink beer, while your girlfriend goes out and supports you. You need to go get a fucking job, or you need to go and hit the gym because your beer gut is hanging a little low. Quick thing I just want to add in here. I would never, ever, I don't want you guys to get the wrong impression of me. I would never make fun of somebody's weight, okay? But he had me so mad in that moment that it just all came flying out. But honestly, I feel bad for saying anything in the first place because I literally just made it worse. Like when people tell you don't say anything, you'll make it worse, you're usually just like, okay, whatever, sure, no, I'm still saying something. Yeah, don't say anything because it really just does make it worse. But pretty much after I said that, he came up to me, backed me up against the wall, and started screaming in my face. Literally, like, he was this close. He was literally spitting on me as he was screaming. In all honesty, I have no idea what he said because I literally just, like, ignored him. Like, I was like this, like, with my head to the side of the wall, like, pretty much looking at Kathy, like, get your fucking man. Like, I understand that I was going into a situation that I really knew nothing about, but at the same time, like, no. is not acceptable at all. So, of course, I did feel really bad about the situation that happened. So, the next day, I did apologize to Kathy. But she told me, she was like, hey, listen, she was like, if you want to live here, she was like, you need to not get involved in any of our arguments. Like, just ignore him. Which was hard for me because I'm not that girl. I'm not. So, of course, that pissed me off, like I said, but until I found my own place or moved back in with my parents, I just had to suck it up and deal with it. So that is exactly what I did. So fast forward, the one night, it's like 2 in the morning, I'm on Tinder, I meet this guy, he invites me over to his house, and I'm like, okay, period, you know. So he came, he picked me up, and I went over to his house. We did the nasty. So I went back home in the morning, and I decided to clean myself up, aka get a shower, because I felt like a dirty whore. So I go to my room to get my shower stuff, and then I went to go and grab my toothbrush, and it's missing. Yeah, which was weird because I kept everything of mine in my room. Everything. Shower stuff. Toothbrush. And the fight that Leo and I had was like 2 weeks ago, so I really don't think that he was trying to get back at me for anything. And to be honest, he was too drunk to even know that we really had a fight that night, because when we woke up in the morning, he was like, hey, how you doing? So, you know, I brushed it off, went to the store, which was literally a minute down the road, so I just walked there to get a damn toothbrush that I already had. And then I go back to the house and I go to the bathroom to go and brush my teeth finally. And I look down and bam, my toothbrush is laying on the counter in the bathroom. Little weird if you ask me, only because, like I said, I always kept my shit in my room. So of course at this point I am extremely upset. And by the way, no, I did not think to check in the bathroom before I went to the store, because like I said, I don't leave my shit in the fucking bathroom. So now I'm not gonna lie, I am obviously really upset, like I said before, and I'm thinking that Kathy came in my room and took my shit. But since I already went and got a new one, I wasn't going to make any irrational decisions just yet. So after I'm done with my shower, I go and I lay on my bed and I go to grab my vibrator and it's missing. Now listen, this one, I know I'm not going fucking crazy, because my vibrator does not leave my nightstand drawer. And this is really embarrassing for me now, because now I have to find a way to confront Kathy without coming off in a weird way, because I don't want to be like, hey, you're taking my shit, but like she's taking my shit without asking me. I mean, I was also a little weirded out because Kathy also wasn't the type to go through somebody's stuff and take shit. Because one thing about Kathy has money. Okay, her dad died a few years ago. She gets an allowance from his insurance, I guess. I don't know how it works, but yeah. So after this, I decide to wait a few days to see if anything else goes missing. So a few days go by, you know, I come home from work the one night. I go into my room, I sit at my desk to take my makeup off, and I look in the trash, which I had just emptied, literally like before I left for work, and there's a bloody tampon in there and used makeup wipes. And then I'm like, what the fuck? So then, you know, I'm putting all my other stuff away, and then I realize one of my lip glosses is missing, and my really expensive mascara is missing. So like anybody else would be, I am furious. So I decide to text Kathy from the other room, and I'm like, hey, can we talk? Because I just didn't know what else to say at that point, right? So she came in my room all awkward and sat down on the bed. She was like, hey, like, what's wrong? Is something bothering you? And she didn't even sound guilty, so it made it even worse whenever I wanted to confront her. And I was like, well, I feel really awkward asking this, but... And then she cuts me off, and she's like, this isn't the part where you tell me that you like me, is it? So now, I don't know whether I should feel bad or annoyed at the fact that she's trying to lighten the mood because she stole my stuff, or she's trying to lighten the mood because she really doesn't know what the hell is going on. So I'm like, well, promise me you won't get mad. And she's like, okay, I promise, like, what's going on? And I'm like, well, stuff has been going missing out of my room the past few days, like the past week. For example, you know, today I changed the trash before I went to work, and there's a bloody tampon in my trash can, and I have an IUD, aka a form of birth control that literally just stays in your cooter, and I don't get a period anymore. And she cuts me off and she's like, wait, you think that I've been stealing your stuff? And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. She starts to laugh and she gets up, goes to walk out of my room and says, have you ever thought that maybe you drink too much at work and you misplace things whenever you come home? I actually didn't think of that, but I don't think that would explain why there is a bloody tampon in my fucking trash can. So she leaves the room and I text her, quote, I'm sorry if it wasn't you, but there are only 3 people who live in this house. And if it's not you, you might need to ask your boyfriend if he's gay, because my vibrator is also missing. Girl, not during Pride Month. So after that little argument over text, I go onto Amazon and I start to look at cameras. And of course, the cheapest one that I found was $50. And a bitch was broke, so she needed to wait for her paycheck, of course, which I wasn't gonna get for a week. I could have used the tips that I was making at work, but between paying for gas and utilities and everything else, it just was not ideal. I shouldn't even have to buy a camera, but here we are. So after a week of my things being misplaced, I finally get this camera in the mail. Thank God. But before I did get this camera, I did realize that the only nights when my things would be misplaced or go missing were the nights that Kathy and I were both at work. So I did feel really bad, but I didn't say anything to her about it because I wanted to get the camera and just see what the hell was going on, because at this point, she's the only other girl that lives in the house. So there was really nobody else for me to blame. So the one night we're at work and I get a notification on my phone from the camera app saying that there has been a motion detected on the camera. And Kathy and I are both working. So I open up my phone and right as I'm about to see like what's going on, Jerry, my boss, comes over and he's like, hey, get off your phone. You're not making money to sit and play on your phone. Whatever. So I drive myself and Kathy back to the house and I hurry up and run to my room to go and see what was on the camera, see what the camera caught, you know. So I get on there and I see at 10:30, some girl is in my room going through my things. Lovely. And then she goes over to the closet, and she goes into one of my drawers with all of my lingerie sets, because that's where I kept my lingerie, in these drawers, and she gets changed into one of the sets right in my room. And then she sits at my desk and she starts doing her makeup. So I'm like, what the actual fuck is going on here? Like, what the fuck? So I run over to the drawer with all my lingerie and I'm like looking to see, you know, like if anything else was missing. But as soon as I open it, the set that she had put on was literally right on top. It was dirty. It had bodily all on that shit. I was disgusted. So I tell Kathy that we need to talk again. And she texts me back saying, I really hope you're not about to blame me for taking your shit again. Of course, I told her, no, I'm not, you know. So she comes to my room and it's around like 2 in the morning, okay? And mind you, I haven't even watched the rest of this video yet. So I show her the video and she doesn't say a word the entire time. Literally the entire time. So I go to fast forward the video, you know, and all of a sudden I scroll past somebody on my bed. So then I go and I rewind the video and it's Leo and this doing the nasty on my bed. Doing the nasty on my bed, you know. So I turned it off because I didn't want to see that shit. I actually like hurried up and jumped off my bed too because I felt extremely uncomfortable with the fact that there were 2 people having sex on the bed that was not me and somebody else. So I asked Kathy if she's okay and she kind of just looks at me like, bitch. Really? So she leaves the room without saying a single word to me. But then I am woken up at 7 in the morning to my door being slammed wide open. And she's like, I have a plan. Send me that video right now. So I'm like dead. I go onto my phone, I send her this video, and I ask her what's going on. She goes, we're having a family get together tonight with my family and his, and I'm just like super confused at this point. I'm like, girl, just explain to me what is going on. She goes, I've been begging him to do this for a while, so it's not sus or anything like that, and I already got in contact with his family and my family. So at like 6 in the afternoon, his family shows up and her family does also. And in the backyard, there are like these picnic tables, right? And there's like this little grill. So Leo and his dad, Kathy's stepdad, they were all cooking on the grill while us girls were just talking. And one thing that I did realize, Leo's parents were very, very, very grateful that Leo had Kathy, because they pretty much knew that Leo was a drunk and that he would never be able to support himself. So fast forward, Kathy's sister, she shows up a little bit late, and I want to say she was about like 16 or something, and she looked very, very, very familiar. So when I went into the house to go to the bathroom, I looked at that video one more time, and I could have swore the girl in the video was Kathy's sister. But the only issues with that would be the fact that the camera only showed stuff in black and white. So that was like, you know, couldn't judge it really off of that. And also, Kathy said that she had a special guest coming over during, like, you know, the end of the night. So, like anybody, I was thinking, oh my god, she, like, knows the girl who was in the video. She's about to have this bitch, like, you know, like, come up in here. She's gonna embarrass him, you know. So fast forward, we're all sitting in the living room, and Kathy runs upstairs really quickly, and then, like, 2 minutes later, comes back downstairs really fast. And I'm still so confused at this point. Like, I really feel like I should not be here. Like, this is like a family function about to go wrong, you know, so. But then also, I felt like I should be here because I need to be here for Kathy, you know? This is a rough thing to go through. So we're all sitting on the couch about to watch this movie when Kathy stands up in front of the TV and says, hold on guys, I have this really funny video to show you all. So, you know, she does like the thing where you can play something from your phone onto the TV. Yeah, she airplays it on the TV and presses play, and all of a sudden you see Leo and this girl screwing on my bed. Yeah, mine. So then everybody like is really silent. She pauses the video after like 5 seconds, and she's like, now this is Leo, my lovely boyfriend, fucking my 16-year-old sister. Plot twist, y'all, I was shook. Anyways, back to what she was saying. She was like, and by the way, this is not the first time that they have done the nasty. And not to mention, she was also stealing shit from my roommate. Period, sis. Go off on that hoe. Anyways, she's like, oh, and by the way, guys, like, my surprise guest is waiting right outside. And now I'm scared because I have no idea who this surprise guest is. She opens the door and it's the police. Yeah. Yep, it's the police. The police come in, they arrest him. And I guess the parents already knew about this. Like, they were on board with the whole thing. I mean, I guess they didn't know about the video that was going to be played on the TV. But they did decide to press charges against him because he was also 25 years old. Yeah, 25 years old. Ew. And he also got charged with having CP on his phone. If you don't know what that means, just know it's not good. After that, you know, she told her sister, she was pretty much like, listen, I will never speak to you again, and we're just gonna leave it there. And her sister was like, pulling the, but I'm only 16, I don't know what I'm doing card. I didn't even know you could pull that card in this situation. But yeah, she tried, but that did not work because she was like, all right, everybody can get the fuck out of my house. I was like, period, go off, sis. Go off. After that, Kathy told me that I needed to find a new place to live because she was gonna go and move back with her grandparents over in Spain. And that's when I decided it was probably time for me to go home to my family too. Surprisingly, Kathy and I still keep in touch. We're actually way better friends than we were whenever I lived with her. But her sister ended up running away like 4 months after the whole situation. Nobody's seen her in 4 years, but Kathy was able to find her, her social media. So she like keeps up with her from a fake account, you know, from a distance, pretty much just to make sure she's safe, because she really does care about her sister. And for me, I hated the fact that I had to go home to my family, because once again they were holding money over my head and me going back to college. So I had to wait on my mom and dad and brother hand and foot, because they also favorited my brother. Like, if he says that he thinks I should go back to college, they would be like, oh my god, that's a great idea. Who would have ever thought of that? Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know whenever I post my next video, make sure to click that bell. But without further ado, hi everybody, my name is Kaylee and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Guys, so I know that I promised you guys another video for this month, so that'll be coming out within the next 3 days. I don't know when, just be on the lookout for that. So maybe turn on my post notifications. And then also I was going to do a how-to little clip in this video for the how to submit your story times. But I think I'm honestly just going to make that a separate video just in case, you know, any of you want to go and click on it. I don't have it ready right now, but I do need to make that so you guys can start submitting more, because I know a lot of people are having trouble with the link and stuff like that, and I feel super bad. So don't use the link that's in the description right now. I will be putting up a video soon on how to get that done. But without further ado, I'm going to bring you guys up close. There we go. Okay, so before we get into today's story time, just my little quick rundown, you know. For most of the video, I will be looking in this direction because my mirror's over here and I would like to see what I am doing. I do tell these story times in a first person point of view, and these story times are sent in by anonymous people. Whew, I am getting good at this. Okay, so story time about how my best friend became jealous of me. All right, so a little background information. I was 16 and in 10th grade, aka my sophomore year of high school. But we are going to backtrack a little bit to when I was in 8th grade. So when I was in 8th grade, I became best friends with this girl, Camille. We became best friends right off the bat. We would hang out every day. But sadly, I was known as the ugly best friend. Yeah, love that for me. Anytime I had a crush on a boy and I would start talking to them, they immediately would ask me to hook them up with Camille, because Camille was known as the prettier one, of course. And any of the boys who knew that they were not good looking enough for Camille to like them, they would try to hook up with me because they thought that I would be easier, like an easy target. Like, they would want to date Camille, but they would want to hook up with me if Camille didn't want to date them. And there were 3 reasons why they thought it would be easier with me. 1, I got no attention from boys. None whatsoever. The only attention I got is when they wanted to hook up with Camille, as we already established. Number 2, they thought that if I got any attention from a boy, that I would do anything at the drop of a hat. They were wrong. And number 3, I knew I was the ugly friend because they would tell me every time to my face that I was the ugly friend. For example, the one day Camille and I are hanging out at her house. It's storming outside, so we really can't go out and do anything. And, you know, I thought we were gonna do what we would have done before, which was do each other's makeup, paint our nails, you know, watch a movie. I was wrong. Camille says, what if we invite Adam and Tommy over? She goes, I know you don't like them, but like, can we please invite them over? Like, I'm so bored right now. So then I tell her that my stomach hurts and I want to go home because I just didn't want to be around them. They made me really upset, you know, they would hurt my feelings and they didn't care at all. And the worst part was Camille knew that I hated them. Like, she really did. Like, they had the audacity to make fun of me in front of her, and she would literally be like, Adam, stop it. You're the one who's ugly. You're the one who's ugly, Adam. And then would proceed to give me backhand compliments to make me feel better. But I knew they were backhand compliments. So, yeah. So after I tell her my stomach hurts, she goes, fine, they don't have to come over. But she tried making me feel bad by like huffing and puffing. And at that point, I felt like I was a burden, which was really annoying because it's like, I told you I would go home. Like, why do I need to be here? So that way you can make fun of me in front of them and feel better about yourself? I didn't need to be there for that. So her and I go up to her room and we do each other's hair and our makeup. And then guess what happens? Camille's like, oh my God, the text that I sent them saying not to come over didn't come through. Like, it didn't go through. They didn't get it. And they're 5 minutes away. Do I look dumb? I mean, maybe with the headband, but do I look fucking dumb, bitch? No, I don't. And I knew I wasn't fucking dumb because she pulled this shit so many fucking times with me. Where she'll be like, hey, are you okay if like Adam and Tommy come over? And I'm like, no, like I don't want to hang out with them. And she's like, oh, like they're already on their way. Like, and I don't want to tell them that they can't come because that's like so rude. And the worst part is that was the day that like her dad was supposed to take me home. So like she knew that I didn't have a ride home, even if I wanted to leave. So they show up and then they're like, oh my God, like you look even uglier with makeup.
Emotional, damn it.
Just a little side note that I want to put in here. This like bullying went on like for a few years while I was friends with her, and I still have self-esteem issues till this day from this friendship. But you know what? I would never treat her any different because of how they treated me, you know? Like, I wouldn't, like, be mean to her, you know, or make fun of her in front of them like she would do to me. Because I was just, like, never that kind of person. And I know you guys are probably like, well, why wouldn't you just get new friends? Probably because I developed crippling social anxiety during this. Like, throughout all the trauma I went through. That's probably why. Because if I'm getting made fun of literally by my own best friend, that's just like, no. So fast forward to the summer before my sophomore year in high school. Camille went to this summer camp for the whole summer. I, on the other hand, did not want to go, so I stayed home. But I was super excited because my big sister came home from college and I had told her about everything that was pretty much going on in my life. Literally like everything. Like about the fucking boys making fun of me, Camille with her side comments and her jokes and how Camille wouldn't stick up for me and stuff like that, you know? And of course my older sister was very pissed off about this. I mean, side note, I'm an older sister of 3. If someone were to fucking treat my sister like that and she told me about it, because I know that sometimes, you know, like I wouldn't like to tell my parents or my sisters about things that were going on, it would be on site the next time that I fucking saw her. But yeah, so just to give you a little description of what I looked like back then, I still had a lot of baby chub, which was very annoying. I had really bad acne and my hair wasn't brown, but it also wasn't blonde either. It was just, I wasn't it. I wasn't. So my sister, wanting to help me and wanting to make me feel better and just more comfortable in my own skin, she kind of did like a little summer glow up magic on me because everybody else was having these amazing glow ups and here I was. But backtrack a little bit, before that even happened, I had went to my parents and I told them that I was feeling a little bit depressed, and they even started to notice it too, which I was thankful for because when I told them, they had already told me that they made an appointment for me to go and see a psychiatrist. So I went and saw a psychiatrist. I was diagnosed with anxiety and depression, you know, and I started having weekly appointments with my therapist, but also they prescribed me some medicine, which I was really scared to take at first because I was like, you know, I don't want to be a different person. I just don't want to have these issues, right? Well, after being put on that medicine, that caused me to lose all of my baby fat. Literally all of it. It was not planned. Definitely do not recommend. That is not the healthy way to lose weight. And I actually ended up in the hospital a few years later because of how skinny I was. Anyways, so after that, my sister took me to Sephora. We got some skincare stuff. We got some new makeup. She was gonna teach me how to do my makeup. And this was like a real good like bonding thing for me and my sister. So I was super happy. She taught me how to do my makeup super natural. natural, light, and pretty, you know. And then she also took me to go get my hair done. Sis spent about like $400 on me that summer, which was beyond nice of her because it was her own money. She worked 24/7. But I got some cute blonde highlights, and the only annoying thing about this shit was y'all probably already know the struggles of buying 10 million different face washes and none of them work. So that whole summer we literally spent weeks trying different fucking face washes to see if any of them would work for me. Finally, I'm not even joking, like a month before school we finally found a face wash that like actually helped my acne go away, and like a skin routine that actually like, you know, did something for me. So I was extremely happy about that. But now since I lost all my baby weight, I had no clothes. So in our attic, we had like a bunch of bins of like stuff from when we were kids. Like we kept all our Barbie stuff up there, you know, and we went up there and she grabbed a bunch of her clothes that she had whenever she was in high school. And my sister was a skinny mini, so I tried them on, they fit. So I had a bunch of new clothes. Everything I felt like was just like working out at this time, you know, even though I was kind of scared for whenever Camille got home because like I hadn't seen her in a while, you know. So fast forward, I feel like a brand new bitch, right, as I should. Literally the only thing that was like holding me back from like, you know, fully blossoming was the fact that I still had braces on and I had to have them on for a year longer before I could get them off. But other than that, I was glowing. So it's the week before school starts. My sister already left to go back to college. She went early because her boyfriend was gonna visit her there. I was just extremely happy that she came home this year because the year before she did not come home. So anyways, like I said, Camille came home and then she asked if I wanted to have a sleepover the night before school and we could go to school together in the morning. I'm like, yeah, cool, that's fine, you know. Excited but nervous to see her. I think honestly my anxiety came from her. I don't know, maybe I'm just blaming my problems on other people, you know, but I was just super nervous to see her. I had the butterflies in my stomach and like it's not because I missed her or anything, it was just because I don't know. And we literally have not seen or talked to each other the whole summer because her parents would rather send her to a summer camp than like have her home for the whole summer so that way they could go and travel and shit like that. So I already had my makeup done because I went out to eat with my family, you know, the night before the first day of school. So we all went out to eat, so my makeup was done and everything. And my dad drops me off at her house. So I go knock on the door. And when she opens the door, she looks me up and down and goes, "What happened to you?" Like, oh, like, it's nice to see you too. Missed you too. Like, what a bitch. So we go inside and I pretty much tell her about how like my sister took me under her wing this summer and pretty much did all this stuff for me. And she goes, "Oh, well, that must be nice, but I miss the old you." Like, girl, I've been in your house for 5 fucking minutes. What do you mean you miss the old me? I have not fucking changed or anything like that. So at this point, I start to question myself. I'm like, am I different? Even though I should have just been like, okay, well, that's your opinion. Because honestly, like, I'm happier than ever right now. Like, I feel comfortable in my skin. I'm way more confident than I've ever been in my freaking life. Now, to give you a little, you know, insight on what Camille looked like, Camille was naturally pretty, like really freaking pretty. She had long brown hair, she had blue eyes, she had naturally straight teeth, and her skin was so clear and like just glowy. She just looked good. So when I started to think, oh, like, you know, maybe she's jealous, I snapped out of it real quick and I was like, bitch, Camille's not jealous of you. That's literally like, you know, what went through my head. So fast forward to the morning. I had already showered and did my hair the day before. So while Camille was taking a shower, I did my makeup and fixed my hair. And it took me about, I would say 30 minutes to get ready. And then Camille comes into the room and she's like, "Ew, you're really not gonna take a shower?" I literally cannot do anything freaking right. She's like, "Hey, it's the first day of school. Like, you need to take a freaking shower. That's so gross." And then she goes, "And I don't know what your sister told you about makeup, but you're wearing way too much." As she looks me up and down like, so then of course, you know, little Camille is getting ready. We have about like 45 more minutes before we have to be at school, and she's like, "Can you do my makeup?" Girl, didn't you? No, fuck Camille. Fuck her. And at this point, I was already feeling uncomfortable. I was feeling hated on. I was feeling like, you know, I looked like shit, even though I really didn't. Like, I looked so freaking good. And yet, of course, I let this girl bring me down, as I always did. So I said, no, I only really know how to put makeup on myself. And also, I don't want to put too much makeup on you. And then she was like, yeah, you're right. Yours looks a little cakey anyways. Oh my God. Like, I feel dumb looking back on this now, but like, you live and you learn. So fast forward, we're on the bus. And she decides that she's gonna be a hating ass bitch once again. So now she decides to come after how much I weigh, or the fact that I had lost weight. She goes, you lost a lot of weight. It looks unhealthy and really unnatural. So then I roll my eyes and she's like, what? Ha ha ha. Like, I just don't want anybody making fun of you or saying that you're anorexic. I mean, you know how Tommy and Adam are. Like, first of all, I don't like them and I'm starting not to like you. Literally, she's a hating ass bitch. And just a little side note here, I was not skin and bones, okay? I was actually finally at a good weight for my age and for my height. I was only 5'2". So, you know, we get to school and Tommy and Adam are waiting at Camille's locker. And as soon as we got to the locker, bam, both of them would not stop staring at me. Literally, like they were just like, while I was talking, or like Camille was talking. Like, Camille was like talking the whole time. They didn't give her no eye contact. No, bitch, they were fucking looking at me. Cause I could feel their eyes like burning into the back of my fucking soul. And that's whenever I was like, oh fuck, here we go. They're gonna start bullying me for doing my makeup now. Camille goes, I don't know why everybody's so obsessed with you. Like, you're still the same freaking person. You just lost weight and you don't have acne anymore. Ouch. So Camille and I barely had any classes together, right? But during lunch, I had 3 people tell me that I was gross because I didn't shower. I was anorexic. Well, actually, they didn't tell me this, right? They just said it loud enough so that way I could hear it, and I obviously knew it wasn't about, it was about me. So I text Camille about it, right? And she's like, I told you people were gonna be like this, because it just magically, yeah, no. So fast forward a few days, I start ignoring her and I start to make new friends because I'm not dealing with this. Like, I've dealt with it for too long. After talking with my therapist too, they were like, sis, yeah, drop them, wash your hands, do what you need to do. Because fuck Camille, fuck Adam, and fuck Tommy. They were ignorant people who literally, they deserved each other. Like, you can't just be nice to somebody out of the blue because, I don't know, yeah, that's not how that works. So a week later, I post a selfie on Snapchat because I looked cute, right? I looked cute. Well, Camille didn't like this one bit because I used to be the person, whenever Camille would want to take pictures with me, I would not want to get my picture taken. I would tell her I didn't want to be in the picture. So she swipes up and I go on to Snapchat and there's a whole fucking essay in the chat. And I'm pretty much just gonna like sum it up for you guys real quick. She goes, I don't know what's been going on with you, but you're acting like such a bitch just because you changed your hair and you got skinnier. And you don't have acne anymore. The Kay that I knew hated girls like this. Like, the old you would have never posted anything like this. It was a picture of my face. And now you think you're too good for us? I'll remember this whenever you come crawling back because you can't make any real friends. So after that, I literally just said okay. And the next day, I wake up to go to school and I go on my phone and I have a text from Camille that says, people are saying you're pregnant. Okay. But I'm skinny enough to the point where I look anorexic. Okay. Like, girl, we all know who made this shit up. The same bitch that's been hating since she fucking got home from summer camp. And then Tommy and Adam were texting me, seeing if I wanted to hang out. Blocked. And I'm not even joking you, this went on throughout the whole rest of high school. Literally. Like, she would text me during the summertime asking to be friends again and stuff like that, and I would just never answer her. But like, the rumors were non-stop. They caused me so much damage, like, to my self-esteem and everything. It was just not it. Okay, everybody, that is the end of today's story time. If you guys like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, and if you want to see more of me, maybe hit that subscribe button down below. And if you want to know whenever I post my next video, make sure to click that bell. Like I said, guys, I will have that link up and working next time. I will be posting a video, so make sure to look out for that if you have been wanting to send in your story time. I am making a how-to video, but other than that, I will see you guys next Saturday with a new story time.
What is the deal with parents who are like, you should be thanking me. I feed you. I pay for your meals. Bow down to me. I think I'm gonna continue standing. You do you, though. Like, whose fault is it that I'm here? Y'all signed up for the proper parent program 15 years ago and now you're getting cold feet? Like I did not request to take on life. Y'all are acting like fetus Molly was up in heaven with her fingers crossed waiting to be conceived like, oh my god, can y'all just do the deed already? The sooner the better. I want to be an April baby, not May. Also, parents, why are you suddenly complaining to your children about having to feed them? When we were in the womb, it was not a problem. Like when y'all were preggo with us, I promise all of your meals were double the size of the legal limit, and it was fine. What happened to that energy? If I'm such a hassle, just hand me my umbilical cord and I'll go back in. I don't know what you want.
Storytime about how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. We've been together for 5 years, and I never knew that he had a child. His son is now 7 years old. A little backstory. When my boyfriend and I started dating, everything was great. He was the perfect boyfriend. He would drop anything to help me. He paid for everything, was super considerate, fun, and loving. But everything started to change last year when we moved in together. He told me that his job was starting to give him night shifts. Essentially, we never saw each other during the day or spent any time together. He also started telling me that he was too tired to go out on dates. I'm a paralegal and my office is really close to our apartment. So during my lunch break, I would go home to eat. One time that I came home, I caught him talking on the phone in the bathroom. I could only hear that he was whispering and it sent chills up my spine. When he came out of the bathroom, he was shocked to see me. I asked him who he was talking to and he acted dumb. He said he was just ordering a pizza. He was actually supposed to be sleeping because he worked the night shift. I knew something was wrong. I decided to follow him that night to work and guess what? He didn't go to work. He went to another woman's house. Part 2 is up. Part 2 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. I followed him that night to what I thought was his job, but instead he drove 10 minutes away from our apartment to another woman's house. I parked a few cars away so I could see what he was doing. That's when a little boy and a woman come running out of the house. The woman kisses him on the mouth and he carries the little boy and hugs him. Believe it or not, I instantly got sick. I got out through the passenger door and vomited. I was horrified. My first thought was that he was married and I was the other woman. They walked into the house and I stayed waiting for him the entire night. He left that house at 6 in the morning the next day. But before he could get into his car, I confronted him. He was obviously shocked to see me there. He confessed that was his son, that he wasn't married to the woman. They were only together. So I was right. I was the other woman. He explained that he wasn't in love with the other woman and that he didn't have the heart to tell her he was in love with someone else. He got on his knees and apologized. Part 3 is up. Part 3 of how my boyfriend has a secret child with another woman. He got on his knees and begged me for forgiveness, but I had already made my mind up. I told him he needed to move out by the end of the day. I got in my car and slept for about 18 hours. When I woke up, all of his stuff was still there. He was in the kitchen making me breakfast. I gave him a chance and I let him talk. He explained that he and the girl had a very toxic relationship and that I was the first woman he'd ever met that he truly loved. But I just couldn't get over the fact that he was lying to me every single day for 5 years. Instead of going to work, he was going to her house. I told him that I saw him kissing her and he said that that's just how they greet each other. He swears that they don't have anything going on between them. It's been about a week and he's still living with me. I basically gave him a second chance, but my instinct is telling me something's wrong. I met his son a few nights ago and we got along really well. He's a really cute boy and he loves his dad a lot. And I could see how much my boyfriend loves him too. I don't want to break my own heart, but I feel like I can't trust him anymore. He swears he'll never lie to me again. I have this constant stomachache now, but I still love him. Should I stay with him or not?
Storytime about the time that I had a thing with my stepbrother. So a little background information. I was 14 and it was the first half of my freshman year. So my dad had recently broken up with my mom and he had different girls in and out of the house 24/7. I mean, he was kind of doing his thing after a 15-year marriage. Well, the one day I'm sitting in the house and he brings this girl Kayla over. She had a few kids herself, but both of them said that they would never date. Well, I thought her son Tyler was extremely good looking. So him and I started talking over Snapchat, and things were going good for quite a while. Well, I would say a few months later, my dad told us that Kayla was coming over with her kids. And I was super confused because he seemed really nervous about it. So her kids and I were all sitting on the sofa, and they sat us down and they were like, we need to talk to you guys. We're gonna call my dad Mike. She goes, Mike and I are dating now, so we all have to get along. The reason why she said that was because she thought that I didn't get along. Part 2 about how I had a thing with my stepbrother. So like I said, my dad and her sat us down and she goes, Mike and I are dating now, da-da-da-da-da. And she was like, so we all have to get along now. Because she thought that I didn't get along with some of her kids and her kids did not respect my dad at all. So like I said, Tyler and I were dating at this point. And I freaked out. I was like, you guys can't start dating because Tyler and I are dating. And Kayla was like, well, that's too bad. You two need to break up because I'm your new mother now. And I'm sitting there like, what the fuck did this bitch say? So I start screaming that it's not fair. Tyler's trying to calm me down. My dad is trying to calm Kayla down. To be honest, my dad didn't really care because I had told him about Tyler and I before the whole situation. I thought Tyler would be really upset at the situation, but he was actually pissed off at his mom. So we broke up. Kayla and my dad dated for a little bit over 2 months. Well, surprise, surprise, Kayla cheated on my dad with her ex. So Tyler and I started dating again. Story time about the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So a little background information. I was pretty young at the time. I was in 7th grade and I was 11 years old. And there was this girl who we're gonna call Jenna. Jenna hated me for absolutely no fucking reason. She would bully me because I had red hair, and she would text me literally every day at the same time, telling me to off myself and how I was weird and how nobody liked me. One day she randomly started being nice to me. She sat with me at lunch and her water bottle was empty, and she asked if I needed mine filled up too. Stupidly, I said yes. Well, she ended up putting drugs in my water bottle. After like 20 minutes, I started feeling sick, so I went to the bathroom, and I was kneeling over the toilet when everything went black. Well, when I didn't come back from the bathroom, my teacher got worried, so she sent security looking for me. They were banging on my stall. Obviously, I was fucking unconscious, so I didn't answer. So then they called the fire department, the police, the ambulance were all there. Like for part 2. About the girl who left me unconscious in the girls' bathroom. So like I said, the fire department was there, the police, the ambulance. They called the fire department because they couldn't get the door off. And when they removed it, it fell on me. So I was injured and unconscious. And just a little background information on this girl, who mind you was literally 11 years old. She had a 3 criminal record and was recently in prison for 5 days. Or juvie, whatever the heck you want to call it. Because she brought a knife to school and tried to stab some kid who had called her fat the day before. Anyways, back to the story. I wake up 4 days later. My mom's sitting next to me. They put Abby in jail for 13 years for suspicion of attempted murder, and she was kicked out of school. And now I'm homeschooled and failing all my classes. I now have seizures because of the drugs that she gave me. So yeah.
Storytime on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, let's jump right into it. So I was 14 at the time and my mom had a long-time boyfriend. My mom and this guy been together for about 3 years. Unfortunately, my dad is in jail, so I only talk to him over the phone when he calls. I always got creepy vibes from my mom boyfriend and I told her about this. I told her how he would put his hands a little bit too close to my booty, and when he would hug me, I can like feel his down there area. And when he would kiss me on the cheeks, every now and then he would always do a mistake and kiss me on my lips. She didn't believe me because she never seen anything. Well, one day he took it extremely too far. My mom was at work and I was alone with her boyfriend. I always stay in my room away from him because again, he's creepy. But this night it didn't stop him from coming into my room and violating me. Like for part 2. Part 2 on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, like I said, her boyfriend came into my room and violated me. I tried to run away, but he pinned me on the bed and he started kissing me on my neck. Then he snatched my shirt off and my breast was exposed. At that moment, my phone started ringing. The ring distracted my mom's boyfriend, and at that moment, I took my phone and I ran out the house. Yes, I ran out the house with my breast exposed. By the grace of God, it was my dad calling from jail. I missed his call, so I had to wait till he called me back, so in the meantime, I called my mom. I told my mom everything and she told me shut up. She hung up the phone and did nothing. She even called me a liar. I ran to my best friend's house with my breast exposed and her parents took me in. Eventually, my dad called me back and he saved my life. Like for part 3. Part 3 on how I told my mom her boyfriend was sexually assaulting me and she didn't believe me. Okay, so boom, like I said, after my mom didn't believe me, I ran to my best friend's house with my breast exposed and her parents took me in. I waited for my dad to call me back from jail and he eventually did. I answered the phone and I cried telling him everything of what just happened. My dad from jail became my hero. He sent a lot of his friends to my mom's house to handle that guy. Of course, we pressed charges and he's going to be serving time in jail. All my dad's friends helped me pack and they all brought me to my dad's mom's house. My mom came home to an empty house and my dad's mother has been granted custody of me. My mom was horrible. I hated living with her. Her boyfriend was physically abusive while she was verbally abusive. She didn't believe me and that hurt, but my dad believed me and saved my life. Can't wait to see him in a year.
This is why you should be careful who you believe. Once there was a girl named Danny who lived with her parents, but one day she came home and found something terrifying. She went to the kitchen to get some water, but dropped the glass and screamed in terror. On the floor, she saw the body of her mother. Then her father burst into the room. He said, "Danny, listen carefully. Your mom was trying to run away and abandon us. We got in a fight. She fell. It was an accident. I'm so sorry." Danny was in shock, but nothing could have prepared her for what her father said next.
The day, he asked me to stay after class. I immediately got the creeps and said no, I had to catch my bus. And I hadn't seen him for weeks after that. Some days later, I noticed a for sale sign on my neighbor's yard. So during their open house, I decided to peek out my window and see who was visiting. And there he was, my substitute teacher. I got the creeps and I just ran upstairs to focus on something else. Once the house sold and the move-in trucks came in, I saw that it was my substitute teacher that actually bought it. I was terrified but still felt this weird connection. That's when my mom offered for us to bring cookies over to his house. She said it was the neighborly thing to do, so that's what we did. So we went to go knock on his door. Stay tuned for part 2 and add me on Instagram. Okay, so part 2 to finding out my substitute teacher was actually my biological father. So the whole interaction between my mom and him was so odd. He was clearly high, so my mom just set the cookies down on his front door. And we just left. Many nights after that, I just felt like someone was always watching me. I constantly got the creeps, and I would just notice like little stuff going missing. But I never thought it was that big of a deal. But a few days later, this man invited us over for a dinner, and my mom made me go. And it was just as strange. Like, I could tell that my mom was so uncomfortable. I asked to be excused to go to the bathroom, and once he showed me where it was, I did a little bit of snooping. In a room close to his bathroom, there was pictures of us. Like my mom and I.
So my mom and dad said that he could come with us. So my sister, who we're gonna call Emily, she decided to bring Ben, and I decided to bring one of my friends, Carly. We drove down, everything was good for the first 2 days, and usually what would happen on this vacation is my dad would end up staying at the hotel and doing work while we were all out doing stuff. So my mom, Ben, and Emily were all out drinking at the bar 24/7. Like for part 2. Part 2 about how my mom got with my sister's boyfriend. So like I said, Emily, Ben, and my mom were out drinking 24/7 at the bar. And since this was a vacation that we took every year, my sister already knew a bunch open. So I looked through the door, and obviously I could hear you know what, but hers and his clothes were on the floor. Like for part 3.
Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet whenever I get mad at him? Anytime I get mad at him, I just find little ways to sabotage him. Disclaimer is not my story time, send me on Instagram. My boyfriend and I have been together for 2 years. From the beginning of the relationship, I had to chase him. He was dating a few girls when I first met him, but I managed to bag him. The problem is that he knows that I was the one that was chasing him. He never had to court me or anything, so he knows he can get away with a lot. For example, we live together and he never cleans the apartment. He automatically assumes that I will do his laundry, his cooking, and cleaning. I have to make the bed every single morning when we both get up. I have to make him his breakfast and literally be his mother the entire day. Worst of all, we've both been working from home because of COVID. So this means I have to cater to him all day long, even when I'm in my meetings. And because I don't want to cause any fights or confront him about it, I started to retaliate in my own way. Number 1, I started cleaning the toilet with his toothbrush. Sounds terrible, I know. I need some way to release this anger though. It gets worse. Part 2 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? Because he uses me as his personal maid, I had to find a way to retaliate. Using his toothbrush on the toilet was the clear answer, but it didn't stop there. Anytime he would leave his dishes unclean or ask me to do his laundry, I started to do other things. Recently, I've been putting dairy in his food, which I know he can't have because it gives him the runs. I switched out his special shampoo for regular old Dollar Tree shampoo. Anytime his packages would arrive, I would just hide them somewhere in the apartment. And whenever he would go crazy waiting for it, I would finally say, oh, this package? Oh, that's been here for like 4 days already. The look on his face was so worth it. A few nights ago, after I worked all day and cleaned and made him his food, he asked me for a massage. By the way, it was 7 p.m. and I was finally ready to relax myself. So I told him that I didn't feel like it because I was tired. Instead, I poured myself a glass of wine, sat down on the couch and started watching a movie. He decided to throw a tantrum. He stood in front of the TV and asked me for a massage again. I mean, he's a grown man. Part 3 is up. Am I the asshole for using my boyfriend's toothbrush to clean the toilet? After he stood in front of the TV blocking my view, he asked me for a massage a second time. And once again, I said, no, I'm tired. Then he starts complaining about the lunch I made him. He said the pasta was overcooked and the sauce tasted weird, which it probably did because I did put dairy in it. Instead of holding my ground, I told him fine. And I proceeded to give him a 30-minute massage when I was so tired myself. I'm sure you're wondering if I love him. The answer is yes. I love him very much, which is why I don't want to break up with him, but I'm really close to having had enough. He never offers to help me. He never offers me a massage. He expects me to clean and do everything for him. When I've asked him for help, he doesn't really want to. So I don't think he's gonna change that part of himself. But I do have fun with him and he's an amazing guy. I don't know what to do. Should I leave him? Should I stay? Or do you guys have any ideas on what sabotages I could do next? Help a girl out. Bye.